commercial, and industrial interests in the state of Florida have fundamentally allowed for the vast exhaustion of the state's environment through development. Good morning, I'm Catalina Hernandez Ramos.
I'm Tara Tasiku.
I'm Victor Sarabia.
And I'm Janalis Correa. The prominent cause of this environmental degradation is urban sprawl, defined by the peer-reviewed Journal of Land Use and Environmental Law as a land use pattern of sporadic, inconsistent development that occurs away from the center of metropolis. The motives behind this expansion derive from the societal desire of living in less densely populated areas, attaining more settled lifestyles. Along with sprawl, commercial, industrial, and real estate leave their print on the environment.
Now, these characteristics are especially threatening to Florida as the state population increased from 1.6 million in the 1930s over to 19 million currently. This information is revealed by the Center for Landscape Conservation Planning from the University of Florida. In addition to this exponential growth in population and the American dislike for density, urban sprawl areas are being influenced throughout public interest and political incentive, completely forgetting to address ecological concerns.
This has led us to the question, to what extent has urban sprawl affected South Florida's region in the past 50 years? We have come to the conclusion that urban sprawl has negatively impacted Florida's South region in the past 50 years. The first impact is the drastic reduction of natural ecosystems within South Florida's region. As Janalis mentioned earlier, urban sprawl addresses population concerns through low density, residential and commercial settlements. These conditions impact single housing, planned communities, and increased road building. More specifically, the Everglades Marsh, once covering 12,000 square kilometers, now reduced to its present-day territory of 6,000 square kilometers, revealed to us by the National Academy's Press, accredited for the reliable scientific sourcing, shows that they have intent to decrease urban agglomeration. Urban sprawl creates greater land distances through processes such as dredging, filling, and drainage, as shown with the depicted canal, formerly a pond west of the Fakahashi, as revealed to us by the U.S. report on Florida's ecosystem. If you look to the graph, you can see the total natural ecosystems, grasslands and wetlands, and natural forests have all decreased in the past 50 plus years with terrible results to their ecosystem.
As a result in the physical reduction in the ecosystem mentioned by Tara, distinct habitats have inevitably been reduced, altering the state's biodiversity. The University of Nebraska Society and Ecology reveals that urban sprawl is a major threat to biodiversity, not simply because of the enormous habitats that are directly being converted into rows of buildings, but also the effect that these human disturbances have on a larger landscape. Animals disperse away from their native area due to human development are fragmenting and decreasing the population of species in the area. Also, natural resources such as water, sun, and soil pollution also drive animals away. For example, in South Florida, the population of wading birds decreased to 1 million to around 500,000 individuals. The American crocodile population decreased to 500 individuals, and the panther population nearly to the point of extinction with around 30 to 50 individuals. These three groups of animals are the most well-known and history-relevant species in the Florida region. Therefore, their drastic decrease in the population clearly indicates the radical instability of Florida region as a whole due to urban sprawl.
In addition to Victor's remark, urban sprawl has negatively impacted the abiotic systems within South Florida's environment. The U.S. Department of Interior on South Florida's environment revealed that the air quality of the region has drastically deteriorated over the past 10 years, primarily due to the increase in vehicular traffic and expanding industry. These aspects of sprawl have contributed to increased carbon emissions, not only directly affecting human health, but also influencing long-term rising temperatures. Another effect of sprawl accounts for the heat island effect as listed here. Increased infrastructure has prioritized the use of materials such as cement and asphalt that absorb heat easily, re-emitting the heat into the atmosphere and thus raising local and global temperatures. If you can refer to this graph right here, as you get closer to more urbanized areas, temperatures increase due to the heat island effect, meaning that the heat island effect only intensifies with urban sprawl. As a final point, there has been an alteration in water quality with eutrophication, which as you can see here, consists of an increase of nutrients and minerals in bodies of water leading to the growth of plant life. Such aspects of sprawl, this is commonly due to the runoff water from residential and industrial facilities due to sprawl. Such aspects of sprawl are not only enduring, but also influence the quality of life of all biotic species.
Thank you, Jenelise. Now, many would argue that urban sprawl has actually had a positive impact on Florida's economy through the growth and development of the tourism, housing, and other commercial businesses. However, the impacts of sprawl are far more influential when considering the well-being of all biotic species, including humans, and the need for a sustainable future. On account for rising concerns for South Florida's environment, lawmakers initiated the implementation of sprawl reduction policies in 1985 with the Growth Management Program, requiring that all counties submit for its approval a comprehensive plan for future population growth. This implementation led to the expectation of improved land management and decreased effects of sprawl. As proved by my colleagues, this is not the case. The issue identified consists of weak local commitment to mitigating sprawl policies, as revealed by the U.S. National Science Foundation grant. Now, there are several solutions to the identified issue. First is the implementation of not one, but multiple sprawl reduction policies. The transfer of development rights, conservation easements, and clustering all aim at creating more dense urban cores. In addition, environmental mitigation and density bonuses allow development as long as action is taken to preserve critical natural resources. Another solution consists of the manifestation of sprawl reduction policies at the local level. One of the issues with sprawl reduction policies is the belief that land management is the responsibility of higher jurisdictions, such as state and federal government. However, if enforced strictly at a local level, the combined efforts of these sprawl policies will lead to long-term environmental improvement. Another solution is higher education. Texas Southern University revealed that jurisdictions with higher levels of education significantly adopt more sprawl reduction policies into their comprehensive plans. Mandated participation process. Citizens have the opportunity to impact both the quality and content of a final comprehensive plan. Finally, greater planning agency capacity. A greater number of professional planners working on a plan will translate into more effective and quality sprawl reduction policies.
Along with these solutions come limitations. The first one being the jurisdictional willingness to enforce such laws and the public willingness to adhere to them, and the second being the amount of funding available to invest in these particular strategies. Even though the solution strategies listed have been proved to be effective, different stakeholders must take into consideration the need for change. Residents and government representatives must first attain a sense of urgency and willingness to impact and promote a change in South Florida's environment. This is our works cited page. Thank you. Are there any questions?
All right, Victor, we're going to start with you. Victor, can you describe an argument from one of your peers' individual reports that makes you think differently about your team's solution to the situation?
So, one team member argument that made me think different about my overall. I'm sorry, can you repeat the question?
Yes. Describe an argument from one of your peers' reports, IRRs, that makes you think differently about the team's solution.
So one IRR of my teammates that made me think different about our resolutions is Catalina's perspective, because she explained how was Catalina's perspective, since in her IRR she explained how urban sprawl are a major threat to biodiversity, which reinforces during our conclusions, during our solutions, that she reinforces that urban sprawl is a major threat to biodiversity since. I'm sorry, can I start? You know?
Yeah, start over.
One team member that made me think different about our conclusion is Catalina's perspective, since her IRR was about the environmental perspective from urban sprawl, which made me think different about our conclusion, since urban sprawl is a major threat to biodiversity because it's causing physical reductions in the ecosystem, driving animals away and reducing their population.
All right, cool. Thank you. Tyra, you're up next. What's an example of a compelling argument from one of your peers' individual reports that you decided to not include in your presentation, and why?
So an argument that we decided not to include was Genelise's argument, as she addressed the topic of societal issues. As Victor did history, Catalina did environmental, and I did infrastructure, we had a line of reasoning, and even though we did use some of her information for limitations, her overall perspective didn't fit our argument.
Okay. Catalina, give one example, or excuse me, give one specific way your thinking changed as a result of Tyra's paper.
As a result of Tyra's perspective on the infrastructural aspect of urban sprawl, my thinking changed because her IRR introduced the overall cause for the environmental issues that I discussed in my paper. So essentially, Tyra created the base for the root of the problem that we discussed in our presentation with the spread of development and how that affects the environment.
Okay. And save the best for last. How did your group decide to include Victor's perspective in your overall presentation?
So we decided to use Victor's perspective, which was the history of Florida's population growth, basically. So he researched about all the population, the trends, stuff like that, which contributes to urban sprawl. And so then we used his to demonstrate in our context that due to the increase in population, such demands require urban sprawl, and those demands have led to the environmental degradation.
You guys are done.